Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd here, with my hood up today, recording during what I like to refer to as false spring this time of year in Michigan, here at my hometown Coldwater, Michigan store with the J-Flite 265TH, looking at some of the 2023 updates. This is a model that's been out there for a while. It's a very popular floor plan available from several manufacturers. So why would you consider the Jayco version versus something else? Well, one of the first things, there's a lot of qualities that just aren't matched anywhere else. And every RV has its good features, but this has like double the warranty of basically anybody else making a camper like this. It's also a little bit taller than some inside, which might make the difference on what you can and can't load, or if you can and cannot stand in the shower. That's a feature that I always look for, as a little bit of a taller goofball myself. You've also got things like Goodyear Endurance radials, tinted windows, an enclosed underbelly, fully walkable plywood roof decking instead of OSB, which is a quality that is shared by nearly no other manufacturer out there today, and a bunch of other little things. That's the funny thing with Jaycos. It's what I call death by 1,000 paper cuts, or it's the raindrops that fill the bucket, and eventually you realize that's a heck of a good full bucket right there. This gives us private bedroom, private bathroom, as opposed to a lot of toy haulers where it's like a garage that you sleep in, you know? Although that is definitely phasing out of the marketplace compared to the olden days of toy haulers, you know? I remember when a toy hauler had a bucket that you pooped in and we were happy. Like, you know, I'm starting to get old in the RV sense. I got a lot of years to go. Anyway, there's some things about this that are awesome. There's a couple things I don't think you're gonna like. Whether they're deal breakers or not, that's up to you. I want to show you the good with the bad and let you decide if it's the right one for you. And if you appreciate that kind of fair approach, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get dug in here. God dang it, Doug still doesn't work here. Now, I almost always do these things front to back, and today I thought I'd roll it over, flip it, and reverse it, roughly Missy Elliott style, and give you a look from the back to the front of this one. From the, if you're hanging out on the ramp patio, this is what you're going to look at here. And right away, we're getting hit with one of, well, maybe my very favorite feature on this RV. The fact that they just did something with that space on that campsite overlook window there. Just a simple fold-up shelf, a pair of bar stools to sit there and be able to dine and look out the window, or pull your bar stools out here on the patio and sit and chew the fat with friends or whatever. You know, there's a, whoa, I just about went backside over tea kettle. I forgot I did not close the ramp gate behind me because this has a walkout ramp gate, and I just about walked out and broke a leg or a head or something. Thankfully, I did not. So maybe mark that on your little safety list. I don't know. We're backup camera ready. We've got double flood loading lights instead of a single, just so you can see what you're doing. But the thing is, like, we call them flood loading lights, but there's nothing stopping you from lighting those things up if you're hanging out here on the patio in the evenings, just kind of enjoying some time with some friends. And by the way, a cool little camping hack I've seen people bring like a one of those easy up screen rooms and actually put it on the patio deck of their toy hauler to really you know, be able to keep the bugs away, which is kind of cool. You're going to have to probably figure out some kind of different lighting then, but it can work. Now, we're going to see these benches in a couple different configurations in just a minute. Actually, we should do that right now. As long as I'm thinking about it, let's do that right now. And I actually want to begin right down here with this cool little thing I'm going to call the Baby Saver. Extra little details that Jayco's putting in right there. They have these little, you know, where the ramp patio doesn't totally meet up with the opening of the ramp door. They make it so that dogs, babies, can't go falling out of that thing like I almost did off the backside of this. Now, as you see here, you've got that floating picnic table. There's kind of a simulated fold-down armrest between those two benches, and each bench folds down into a sleeper. They do not, however, meet in the middle, which some people like, some people dislike. I'd be kind of curious to know your take on that. I think that there are some people who have maybe grandkids where, like, they've got a grandson and a granddaughter, and they would like to have a little bit of sleeping separation between them, whereas some people would prefer to have one big giant mega bed so they could bring adult friends with them and do adult friend activities. I don't know. Oh, that sounded wrong. Anyway, we've got pocket screwed lumber core cabinetry. These are not stapled fasteners. And I've got just a massive flood of natural light coming in the back of this RV right now. So I actually have 0 lights on here in the kitchen and the living room, and it lightens and brightens right up. Now, this darker woodwork that we're looking at will always be that color. And
to be fair, this RV does not have the world's most awesome entertainment center position. I don't know, you know, like where would be a better spot in this camper necessarily, but it is always tricky. I do appreciate, though, that Jayco does at least run some HDMI wiring for us. It's like such a basic thing that so many manufacturers don't do. Now, this is an Indiana-built unit. There's some differences east and west. There's some different trends east and west. Over here in the Midwest, a lot of park campers, not a lot of need for solar and off-grid with anything like this. So that's a 12-volt DC compressor fridge. Faster cooling, bigger capacity, very popular out here. In areas like, say, you know, Idaho or Oregon or out west where we carry these, you'll find a lot of gas-electric two-way refrigerator freezers and a solar package that we're going to talk about more when we step outside. So know that you do have a choice of refrigerator. And I was starting to talk about this and squirrel! I forgot to talk about the decor. Today we are looking at the cabin decor. I think it's, or cottage. I think it's called like Cozy Cottage or some stupid name like that. But cottage. Basically, brown instead of farmhouse white in the kitchen area. But like I said, the darker cabinetry that we saw over there in the entertainment center or above the dining area, that will always be darker. You'll actually get a peek, a little sneak peek sample of the farmhouse decor in this when we go into the bathroom, because no matter what decor you get in the living room, the bathroom is always farmhouse, and the bedroom is always just the dark house. I don't know. I don't know what we gotta call that. Good enough. Let's go up to the bedroom, shall we? Bathroom. I don't know. Wherever you feel like sleeping or pooping, I guess is up to you. Although I do think we'll all agree that this is the better place for pooping, whereas the mattress where I'm sitting is probably the better place for sleeping. Elbow space around that foot flush toilet was absolutely fantastic. The butt napkin roller is a little bit far away, but that's something that could be moved or dealt with potentially. Over here is the new controller for the tankless on-demand water heater, by the way. And in this class and category, I'm not going to say nobody. Because Cherokee gives us bigger vent fans, but nearly nobody does anything other than that little 4-inch fart fan fume fighting job right there. Now, with the taller ceiling, that is one of those areas, the 3-inch taller ceiling, this means I can stand in the shower with boots and hat and be just fine. The elbow room in that radius shower is not awful. It's not also amazing. So kind of keep that in mind. And as we all know, water and electricity merge so well. So why we decided to store the power cable in the shower, I'm not sure. Now, Indiana-built units only have the mirror on the wall. Idaho units have several differences. There's like 7 or 8 differences. One of those is an actual medicine cabinet. I am of the belief I would like to see everything standardized to the Idaho standards, personally. I prefer that over the Indiana build. Like I said, there's a couple things. Maybe I'll remember to list some of them on screen. Some of the differences between the two would just work for me. Now, they do an interesting thing here in the bedroom. Over on the right-hand side, you see that's actually just dresser shelf space. The left-hand side is a hanging clothing, like mini cabinet, basically. Mini closet, mini wardrobe. That's the word I'm looking for. Derp. It is an open cabinet above the bed. I've been told some of those little kind of wicker baskets that you can get from your big box store like Target. Although, be careful, guys. Be careful going to Target. You go to Target to get the wicker baskets, and then you walk away with the brushed silver picture frames and like $400 spent. You don't even know what happened. But there is a, I want to show you, there is a, about a, I don't know, 3/4 inch lip right there to help keep stuff in place. Owners of RVs like this, whether it's a Jayflight or something else, they have an open shelf like that, and you've done the wicker basket method or whatever. How often does the stuff stay in place versus how often does it fall down? I would like to maybe farm some actual ownership experience. Now, I share the good with the bad. This is, I think the floor vents in the garage area are one major factor. This right here might be another potential deal break factor. The fact that this is the Shorty McShort Pants Bed Goblin Union, you know, Camp Queen bed. There's tons of room in here, though. There's room for a True Queen and still walk around it. I wish they just threw the True Queen mattress in. They did the hard part. They built the camper to accommodate it. They just didn't actually put the mattress, you know, in there. Now, under the mattress, by the way, You've got a Foot Locker storage with some easy lift gas struts, and I love that they threw the struts in there. I like that they do those extra nice little things. And this is the kind of camper where if you are very claustrophobic, they leave everything beside the bed wide open. All you might want to do is just get maybe some kind of little foam pad or something to put on that sharp corner right there of your long trailer, which is a movie I've not seen in so long. Holy cow. Now, a couple things here. Flipping around the other way, this thing over on the left side of the screen, sometimes people see those and go, what is that? It's a two-way air vent. So if, you know, 'cause basically I've got us in road mode. With this having no slides, I almost didn't even record this right now, but I thought there's some extra things I can add of value here. If you are loading something into this RV that has a combustion engine and it's going to have exhaust pumping into the RV, you're going to want to air that out. You don't want the whole thing smelling like a garage, obviously. And that's what those vents are going to do for you. When you are zipping down the road, basically, it will allow some air to breathe in and out of the RV and exhaust all that kind of stinky, you know, combustion, well... exhaust out of the RV. You would think after all these years I'd think of a better way to phrase things, but no! And by the way, a quick little note, if you look down here at the bottom of this, whenever you have some kind of ramp patio system, it's going to come into the RV a little bit. A lot of times, like if you call, whether it's Bish's RV, any store, this is just a general pro tip, just a helpful thing if you appreciate tips like this. Hit that subscribe button, like our video, all that stupid YouTube stuff. Anyway, people will say, how long is the garage? How big is the garage in that? And the salesperson will come out and they will measure from like the front cabinet to all the way to the back door, because the ramp patio is usually out of the way. But as you can see right now, the ramp patio does stick into things a little bit, and that right there is the lowest common denominator. So if you are checking measurements on something like this or asking someone to do that for you because you're shopping, ask them to do it with the ramp closed. And that will give you a real-world measurement instead of just a, well, a measurement that doesn't actually do you any good.
So when we began, I referred to this as potentially half-ton towable. If you read the weights and the measures here, if you got a late model tow package half-ton, you'll probably be okay here. This only has a 7,500 pound GVW maximum weight. Now what that means is this doesn't have a 4,000 pound cargo carrying capacity like some big monster toy haulers. That is once again where I kind of call this more of that crossover. It's a very light duty toy hauler. It's not hefty, you know, but it's not necessarily just wimpy either. Anybody remember those old Hefty Bag commercials? Like this is 8 foot wide. It's not wide body. It's not extra super stupid tall or anything like that. So it's smaller, lighter, less money, easier to tow. Those are all good features, but all those awesome assets are also its greatest liabilities, because that does also limit what they can do with this floor plan. Not to mention, this is still a very budget-sensitive camper. You know, if you want the big wide-body Asdel monster jobs, guys, we got those too. That's just not what this one is right here. The double 20-pound propane tanks make for an easy swap out on a Sunday, and if you want to upgrade those to 30s, you'll have to buy the bottles, but all you have to do, the little spindle rod that goes kind of between them, all you got to do is just get a longer one of those. It's actually pretty simple and easy. Some really nice little Jayco things here. You've got the turn signal safety lighting package, so if you flip on your left-hand signal, that light and all the lights down the side of the RV will blink to let everybody else know what you're doing, and most RVs don't do that. But that's not what that black housing is. That was actually a side view camera prep point that very few RVs in this class and category possess. At least not from the factory level. Now they could be added. That little mount is not a difficult thing to add by any stretch of the imagination. It is just kind of nice when things are factory done and factory warranted, however. All the windows are tinted to keep that, you know, sunshine or the nosy neighbors out of there. And we've got those best-in-class Goodyear Endurance radials that Jayco's been doing for a long time, and a lot of other brands have caught up, but a lot of brands still are not doing that. So if peace of mind with, you know, your tire wear and tear is a concern, that might be something to look at. For the 23 season, they not only updated that sweet-looking sweep radius front nose, but they've gone to a tankless on-demand water system. Now, hot water system. Now, I'll tell you, I don't have a lot of personal experience with that. I understand the theory of it, but in theory, practice and theory are the same thing, but in practice, they're often very different. So I would welcome any actual owners, anybody who has actually camped with a tankless water heater and a traditional tanked water heater, chime in and let me know what you think about those. Now, you may have wondered, does the RV include any kind of steps for the rear ramp patio? They do. I simply have them squirreled away here in a full front true pass-through just to help you understand the size and scope of this thing. And jumping over to the other side here, get a little more of a look at those. You know, that's a perfect place to be able to transport those. And wouldn't you know it, it actually includes a couple little straps to kind of buckle strap that down in place. I would put the steps down and I would maybe like slide a tote over top of it, and you can basically kind of Sir Mix-a-Lot double up your storage right there. Whip crack, always with the whip crack. Anyway, the power awning on this is not the biggest, but I think it's sufficient. You know, again, being a more price-sensitive kind of camper, it would have been cool to see it extend back a little further, but they did all right, and they did put the door in the middle of the awning, which is fantastic on a rainy day. Outside speakers up higher than I like them, but that was probably an easier place to hide them in the, what do I say, like the cabinets. Now down here, go past, you see the sticker, Rock Solid Stabilization System. Well, that's what these guys are right here. Basically, when this jack drops down, it has its own individual extra stabilizer bar to keep the RV from rocking and rolling around when you get there, which is very cool. I still recommend wheel chocks, though. So something people don't understand is the difference between stabilizers and chocks. So a stabilizer on that corner jack, its job is to keep the RV from wiggling and making you motion sick while you're standing and walking around in the RV. A wheel chock that you actually, like those big Harbor Freight rubber chocks that look like an aircraft controller, the cheap plastic yellow ones, whatever the case may be, those things that go on the wheels, those are designed to prevent the trailer from rolling forward and backward. Actually, a very key difference to understand. And here's a really funny thing. X-chocks are not actually chocks. X-chocks are stabilizers. And if you're still following me right there, that means you got a pretty good idea what's going on. And if you're not, I know it sounds very confusing. This is the kind of stuff that our outfitters here at Bish's RV are well equipped to kind of help navigate you through a little bit. The ramp patio on the back here, notice how it's got the, you know, split open in the middle. It does have a swinging gate to close that off. And of course, that's where the steps that we saw in the front pass-through would be located. You don't have to use them though. Like, some people don't want steps. They don't want to extend their RV, like, you know, maybe your campsite doesn't have enough room. You can leave the steps at home. You don't have to bring them. You don't have to use them. That's just up to you. And this is what's, again, I call it a crossover or a smaller hauler. You see how you have that roll-down tent, zip-up screen wall, bug screen kind of thing right there. People are going to ask, can I get one of those 3 Seasons patio, you know, glass door walls on this? No, you cannot. Not because, you know, nobody is willing, but to my knowledge, there is no supplier who makes those doors for a smaller hauler door size like this, because that's one of those things. It's not as wide, it's not as tall as those big toy hauler guys. So the doors that go on those, there's just nobody that makes a smaller one like this. It would be cool, but you know, that's where this differs from a big hauler. It doesn't have generators. Now, you know, generators one thing. What about, like, what kind of solar options or equipment or anything like that do you have available on these? So by default, this RV has no solar, no inverter, none of that kind of stuff. It is, however, solar prepped, which means they've done a little bit of the work. You're going to have to do some work to get it there yourself. It has a plug on the roof. It has a wire that comes down to where you'd put in the controller, and that's it. If you want to do it aftermarket or have us do it, we can put on some panels, we can put in a controller, finish up the wiring, that's all possible. They do offer, they call it their Overlander 1 solar package. It's a 200 watt package, 200 watt panel rather, up on the roof. A 30 amp charge controller, which means you could add some extra panels to it if you wanted, and of course they finish up the wiring. Now the cool thing here, and almost no stick and tin campers are doing this, it does have a base level of inverter prep. It's not flashy, it's not fancy, it's basically a wire that you would just splice into, put the inverter in the loop, and then there you go. It only runs a very small number of outlets on this, and keep in mind, using an inverter, you basically lose like an additional 10% power when you do that because of the little conversion factor and what's lost. But if you really want to be able to run a coffee maker or CPAP machine or like a standing fan or something like that, no matter where you park, there are opportunities where you could make this camper do a little bit of that. But it's not by default the kind of camera that's going to get all of those crazy heavy-duty off-grid features, brother. And one last note, just for the peace of mind factor, that 2 + 3 year warranty right there, that is something that is matched by pretty much no other manufacturer out there, especially in this kind of class and category. In a smarter class, budget smart, sensitive, stick and tin kind of camper, there just ain't a lot of other brands doing stuff like that. If you're a first timer, or if you've just been around the block a few times, you want that extra peace of mind, it's one that you might want to consider. That's a factor that might play into it for you. Things like the, the double floodlights, all those extra little things they put in here. But again, it's got a couple things like the floor vents, like the bed, that just maybe you feel could be better, and maybe that's an instant all-stop deal breaker for you. And this is where I ask you to chime in. You've heard enough from me. You let me know what you think in the comments section, and what I will do is I will dig up some videos of some RVs that are of a similar layout to this one out there, and watch a couple of those, and let me know on this one or any of those videos which one you think you would go with and why. And until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun. Remember to check that link in the video description for pricing and availability, everyone. That is a much longer and wordier version of the sign-off than I typically use.